No looking at your co-stars, no gaining weight, and absolutely no kisses over 3 seconds. Turns out life as a Hollywood star isn't as free and easy as you might imagine. Today, it's assumed that filmmakers have the freedom to make their films as true to life as possible, rather than being censored outright. Most movies are given a restricted classification rating prior to release, but this hasn't always been the case. In the 1930s, Hollywood studios found themselves under pressure from conservative activists to censor movies in a way that fell in line with a Catholic moral worldview. The result was the Hays Code, named after motion picture producers and distributors of America president William Hays. He decided that, rather than reach the point at which filmmakers were subject to outside regulation, they should essentially self-censor by introducing a series of rules governing Hollywood studios. In the years that followed, filmmakers were compelled to limit depictions of sex and violence, and to venerate social institutions such as marriage. Notably though, even depictions of marriage were rendered sexless on screen. For many years, actors portraying married couples were often shown sleeping in twin beds rather than a double, a tradition that continued until the Hays Code was phased out in the 1960s. Since the early days of cinema, countless moviegoers have been smitten with a good love story.
He's looking at you, kid.
For the best part of 3 decades, however, the Hays Code prevented the portrayal of lustful behavior on screen, resulting in love scenes that would appear laughably tame compared to what you'd see today. For a start, embraces between characters were heavily regulated. Kisses were performed with minimal movement between the actors, who would hold each other in neutral parts of the body, such as the arms or above the midriff. While the common belief that the code forbade kisses longer than 3 seconds is actually a myth, it is true that studios impose their own time limits. Famously, Alfred Hitchcock circumvented one of these time limits in the 1946 classic Notorious by having actors Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman engage in multiple small kisses as they held each other. The code also stipulated that actors should not be shown lying horizontally together in love scenes, as it was thought the effect would be too sexual. This led studios to devise the infamous feet on the floor rule. If one actor was to be lying down, the other, usually the man, had to keep their feet on the floor so they could tell the censors they were technically standing. It wasn't just censors that controlled how actors were seen by the movie-going public. Back in the golden age of cinema, movie studios were all-powerful, with the money and clout to both make stars and break them. Much of this power came from the all-encompassing contracts that screen actors were made to sign if they wanted to work with a specific studio. Such contracts typically had exclusivity clauses, preventing actors from working with other studios, although studios would occasionally loan out talent, in the same way a sports team might do if someone is deemed surplus to requirements. But early movie studio contracts also typically stipulated that actors on their roster had to take whatever parts were offered to them, whether they liked the part or not. The movie icon Bette Davis once caused a scandal in the industry when she turned down roles handed to her by Warner Brothers, resulting in the studio taking her to court. The power that studios had in those early days could sometimes be used against their actors for nefarious purposes. One notorious incident involved the once lauded actor John Gilbert, who, after a falling out with his studio, was rumored to have been forced to work in a series of poor productions that irreparably tarnished his reputation among the public. It's no great revelation that modern Hollywood A-listers have PR teams behind them to help maintain their image and popularity. However, the extent to which studios were once able to manipulate the private lives of their actors is nothing less than shocking. Take, for example, the relationship between Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. The two starred together in several movies from the mid-1930s onward, and MGM Studios was happy to claim that they were dating in real life too.
Well, your eyes are... Why, they're singing right now.
Little did fans know that while Rooney was developing a reputation for being one of the movie industry's most habitual womanizers, Garland was one of the few co-stars he reportedly had no romantic interest in whatsoever. This was heartbreaking to Garland, who was said to be very much in love with Rooney. Later, Rooney informed Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM, that he planned to marry Ava Gardner. Mayer was furious and commanded his leading actor to call the wedding off. off. Rooney retorted that this was his life they were talking about, to which Mayer said, "It's not your life, not as long as you're working for me." In the end, the marriage went ahead, though Rooney's infidelities made sure it didn't last long. In other cases, studios made their leading lights enter into sham marriages for the sake of maintaining an image acceptable to their audiences. One of these was Rock Hudson, whose homosexuality was masked from his fans by his marriage to actress Phyllis Gates. The two were married in 1955, a sham that Hudson undertook at the behest of his agent. They divorced 3 years later. Many people concerned with today's so-called culture wars would have you believe that only today could an actor be canceled because of their opinions or private life. However, actors have been judged by their actions off-screen since the early days of cinema, a fact that was reflected in the contracts many of the leading actors of the day signed with Hollywood studios. Eve Golden's book, Platinum Girl: The Life and Legends of Jean Harlow, discusses contracts written up for studios' featured players, such as Harlow herself. These were especially controlling, with a morals clause which stipulated that a contract was void if the actor in question ever did anything in public that could be seen to affect her appeal. It might be argued that such clauses were prudent. We can all think of recent movies and TV shows that have bombed spectacularly after one of their leading actors committed a particularly heinous public gaffe. But early Hollywood contracts would often go much further than that. In Harlow's case, her contract stipulated that she would be let go without compensation if her body experienced any physical changes that lasted for longer than 2 weeks.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Actors often adopt a stage name early in their careers. There are several reasons they might do this. Perhaps another actor has already taken their name, and they wish to avoid any confusion. Indeed, in countries such as the UK, where the acting industry union equity holds a great deal of sway, two actors are unable to share the same name. In other cases, actors may feel that their names are too bland, too common, or do not accurately represent the image of themselves they wish to convey, so they take a stage name to help their personal brand. Many of cinema's greatest names are, in fact, not the actor's name at all. Marilyn Monroe was born Norma Jean Mortensen, Rita Hayworth was Margarita Carmen Cancino, and Judy Garland was actually named Frances Ethel Gum. In most forms of work, it would be illegal for employers to hire or fire based on body type, or have any say in their employees' weight whatsoever. But since the early days of the movie industry, studios have routinely kept a close handle on the size and shape of their star assets, and they often went to great lengths to ensure actors maintained the look they wanted.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
As early as the 1930s, huge international stars, such as Marlene Dietrich, were being pressured to lose weight by their studio bosses for her role in the pre-code classic Morocco. Released in 1930, the 5'5" actor dropped from 145 pounds to 130 at the behest of director Josef von Sternberg, who for many years was given the majority of the credit for giving the German actress her star power. But not all Hollywood weight loss is achieved through diet and exercise. Notoriously, Judy Garland was forced to regularly take amphetamine diet pills to maintain her slight figure, to which she soon became addicted. Garland died of an overdose of barbiturates in 1969, aged just 47. Weight control within Hollywood isn't a thing of the past either. Rebel Wilson has revealed that in the 2010s, she had to delay a health plan for several years, as she was contractually obligated to maintain her weight for the filming of 2 sequels to the 2012 comedy Pitch Perfect. Forcing actors to keep weight off with the use of addictive drugs isn't the only way in which Hollywood studios have historically controlled their stars' bodies. Just as executives would often tend to have a say in whether their actors married or not, on many occasions they have also sought to have the final say over whether the talent was allowed to have children. Such rules were, of course, all about money, with studios concerned that pregnancies would affect shooting schedules. Not to mention the notion that their live bombshell leads may not maintain the body shapes that supposedly made them such a hit on screen. But here's where things take a dark turn. Not only were actresses pressured not to become pregnant, but if they did, they were often then forced to have abortions to terminate the pregnancy. Some of the Golden Age's biggest names secretly had abortions for what they were told was the sake of their careers, including Judy Garland, Bette Davis, and Ava Gardner. Indeed, as with other aspects of their lives, the very contracts many stars signed with their studios often contained clauses outlining punishments for becoming pregnant while under contract. While stars of the silver screen have often found themselves having to follow the rules of studios, executives, directors, and producers, they sometimes have to pander to the strange demands of their co-stars too. This is particularly the case when actors are starting out, meaning they're considered a secondary concern for the production, or at the very least, dispensable. Jessica Alba eventually became one of Hollywood's biggest box office draws, but in the early years of her acting career, even she found herself having to abide by one of the industry's most notorious directives, the no eye contact rule, a long-held rumor attached down the years to various stars, including Sandra Bullock and Leonardo DiCaprio. It states that other actors are banned from making eye contact with the talent.
Gotta teach them who's boss.
You know,
totally.
make sure they don't look you in the eye.
Alba has claimed that she was forced to abide by it on the set of Beverly Hills 90210 back in 1998 when she was instructed not to make eye contact with the show's major stars, including Luke Perry and Tori Spelling. Other rumors of strange rules attached to individual actors include one imposed by Mission Impossible stalwart Tom Cruise. For many years, Cruise would only ever be filmed sprinting solo with no other actors running alongside him. In one of the few instances that the rule was broken, Annabelle Wallis was thrilled that she was able to convince Cruise that she had the ability to keep up with him in 2017's release of The Mummy. Only a handful of specialized jobs would require people to put themselves in harm's way for the sake of their paycheck. But in Hollywood, actors have repeatedly put their safety on the line in the service of a picture, often without a stunt double to pitch in. Some of the early examples are obvious. The crazy stunts from silent movies performed by stars like Buster Keaton, whose skill at defying death became nothing short of legendary. Elsewhere, actors have been asked to perform action sequences in circumstances that turned out to be fatal. In 1982, a freak accident occurred on the set of the Twilight Zone movie when veteran actor Vic Morrow was required to carry two child actors across a Vietnam War scene involving real helicopters. When one lost control, all three actors were tragically killed in the resulting crash. More recently, Uma Thurman has spoken about one unfortunate incident involving one of her closest collaborators, director Quentin Tarantino. Thurman suffered serious neck and knee injuries on the set of Kill Bill when she was forced to take part in an on-screen car crash. She has claimed that she was coerced into shooting the scene, and that producers then took part in a cover-up. Tarantino has since apologized and claims he deeply regrets the incident.